you also tore your ACL.
Partially. I had a level 2. Level 2 is a partial tear.
Weak.
And what did Sajid
You're
do?
gonna do it right. Do it all the way. Number 3.
He
got
had a
level
number
3 tear.
3. He has a full
Completely torn.
How painful is it?
It was painful, but not as painful as when I hurt my wrist.
So it's
Which I should
painful
probably-
in that.
I'm getting MRI on this too, by the way.
So, okay, I had a partial ACL, MCL, and medial meniscus tear from basketball. All level 2. And the orthopedic was like, well, you're a perfect candidate for surgery. And I said, no. And what I had read previously was that level 2 doesn't necessarily mean automatic surgery.
I stopped believing in science since COVID as well.
So then I just said, no, like, why
Just
aren't
keep
you
walking.
I guess, like, what was concerning to
5
me,
time ki namaz padho.
खुदा का खौफ करो, दुआ मांगो.
छोटी सी वो एक बादाम खाओ साथ में।
बादाम खाओ भाई. Actually, मेरे पास एक गोली है. वो खाना, वो उससे बहुत अच्छी तबीयत हो
वो
जाएगी.
turmeric golden latte bullshit.
Well, I think this podcast is going to be really popular with the 80-year-olds. It's very relatable.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmed Mirza. I am your wonderful, audacious host of NaanSense. And I'm joined by 2 amazing co-hosts, Sajid and Imad. They'll be co-piloting with me. NaanSense is kind of bringing together a different perspective on what it means to be a dad in 2025. So raising a family, managing your kids, managing your career, but most of all, managing your emotions. So today's topic is a big one. We're going to be talking about fear.
Of what?
What do you think of fear? It could be fear of anything. But
Emotional fear.
emotional
like
fear could be physical, existential, maybe related to your career.
Deep topic.
I think what keeps me up at night are like the kind of the stressors in life, right? Like family stuff or dealing with aging parents, right? Or work-related stuff. But I don't think my fears are necessarily, embedded in that. Maybe some of it is, some of those things have like underlying fears, but I'd need a therapist to really get into that in a deeper way. But I think
Why don't you have a therapist?
Why don't I have a therapist?
It's like all the rage. You could like text a therapist. You could text AI.
That's true. I want a good therapist, so if good therapists out there, hit me up. I think the reason I haven't probably stuck to anyone is there's something my wife and I talk about over the last like 20, 25 years. In one way or another, I've kind of benefited from therapy, but it's not like conventional therapy with therapists. Like early on in college, it was like a mentor, a counselor type. As I started working, there were like individuals that like took me under their wing and like, or I went through these like leadership things or whatever. But in terms of my fears, I don't know. I don't know what my fears are today compared to like I know what my fears were when I was 10.
Yeah,
15.
tell me when you were 10. What were your fears? What were you scared of?
Jinn, basically.
Jinn?
Like Jinn were the number one fears. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
for sure.
So for our viewers that don't know what Jinn is,
I mean,
please
turn it off. Like if you don't know what Jinn is.
What is Jinn?
Jinn are, now some mullah's going to come after me for like defining this wrong, but I guess they're essentially another creation, right, that Muslims believe exists. They're paranormal and they're made out of different material, but also sentient and can see us, and we can't really see them.
Sounds like AI.
It kind of feels like AI, yeah. The big difference though from AI so far is they can like go into people's bodies, like maybe you're a Jinn, like as far as I know,
Like some exorcist shit.
yeah, some exorcist, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and that's what got me freaked out.
Yeah.
With jinns.
Wait,
because
what's Exorcist about, by the way? Like, what
it's about
is
jinn?
Yeah, I'm pretty
demons?
sure.
Sorry,
Demons. Yeah, I think so.
But that movie fucked me, like in a deep, deep way.
Really?
Really.
And you watched it at 10 years old?
I watched it at under 10.
No,
Get out of here.
dude.
Yeah, I have some cousins that are a little bit older than me. They're visiting. And they're like, "Oh, we should watch the movie." And next thing I know, I watched Exorcist and Omen.
Oh my!
You guys remember Omen,
Oh
like
my.
from the
I think I
like
definitely,
late 70s?
They don't make
Yes.
movies like that anymore.
They don't.
Hell no, it's scary as shit.
Those are good.
Because they're like mind Fs. And so I knew about Jinn from, just being a Muslim kid.
Yeah, being
right?
around
Like,
like the elders. Yeah.
Now you
then-
got some demonstration.
and then I saw the movie and I was like, this is Jinn.
Oh God.
And I was so freaked out. So like I think about my kids and we've talked about Jinn and stuff, but in a very like
Really
yeah, but in a very
interesting.
like kind of not superficial, but like in a like kind of matter of fact way.
Yeah.
Like there are angels. Like nobody has trouble. Nobody's scared of angels. Obviously, you're scared of angels.
I mean, if they did some crazy stuff, I'd be like, hey,
Yeah, so we leave that part out.
I mean,
right?
have you not watched the show Angel? It's pretty scary.
What the hell? No. What is that, Buffy the Vampire type
Yeah,
shit?
like-
What is Angel?
It's kind of like that.
It's an offshoot of Buffy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Offshoot of Buffy. It was my wife's favorite show. So goodness, for longest.
So you were watching it.
I watched a couple of
You kn-
episodes.
You had that reference, like, boom.
You know, I'm a dynamic person. What
You're
can you say?
dynamic.
I'm dynamic.
Are
I'm
you?
dynamic.
Yeah, dynamic.
So okay. So do Jinn still kind of scare you, or do you have fear of them today?
That's funny. My wife and I would talk about this, and like, I think it's very easy to rationalize not being scared of Jinn the way that I was as a younger person, because like the list of worries and like real experiences, life experiences have, you have so much data, right, around like the things that can actually go wrong, and other than like one out of like I don't know a million data points, none of those are really like related to Jinn. So it feels like.
but if you saw
So-
one, you would shit your pants.
Oh hell yeah!
Right?
But I don't fear seeing one the way that I did growing up. Right? Like, I think that's the big difference.
I have a simple litmus. What I do is like I ask every friend I ever can, even till this. I'm 41 years old, and it's a question I'll ask. Like, if anybody I know has first hand experience with a Jinn, that's what I want to know. I have yet to come across, except for your wife, who's told me a story that scared me for like 5 days straight. Have you guys had a friend or somebody who's like firsthand told you a Jinn story?
My mom did, and
Really?
I
Let's hear
trust,
it.
I trust my mom.
Yeah, you trust your mom.
Yeah,
There
I
we
trust
go.
My mom.
There we go.
She was like a kid living in I don't know, Pakistan or something, and
Which is where the Jinn come from.
that's where they come from.
That's where they come
originate.
from.
Yeah, they have a.
That's
Colony.
why it's hard to find them here.
I mean, you can go looking,
Yeah,
and
it's
maybe
true.
you'll find one.
Oh,
Well, they probably take the flight.
Well, I think yeah. You think they fly business or like?
I wonder. Yeah, that's a good one. Etihad.
There have to be some like going back and forth.
Yeah,
Like
there's like business
like-
class, first class, heaven class. They're somewhere on the plane.
yeah. So she told me the story. I don't know. I feel weird repeating it. I don't think I've ever told really
I
anyone.
want to hear
stuff.
this.
So
Wait, when did she tell you this? How old were you?
I was like in my teens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're old enough to like know that this is real.
Yeah.
She's not messing with you either.
She's not messing with me. I think she told me to make me feel better because I was so freaked by it, right? Like, so I think the story was her and her brother were playing on the roof, in like Pakistan, you play on the rooftops, and they're playing on their rooftop, and they look over at the neighboring roof, and they see a head floating of a family member, just the head, right? Like, she never told me which family member. That's the part that was concealed from me. And she's completely like, they're freaking out, right? Just the head, just floating around. So they come back in, and my nana, right, my grandfather, sits them down, and she's like, he made us read so many dua and so many like surahs and stuff that if anything, it like embedded the memory like even deeper.
Right.
Just like kind of really like soaked it in.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Well,
So
that's
if
tough.
my mom told me any story, I don't believe her.
wow, okay.
Yeah.
I hope she hears this podcast. Yeah.
Then I like heard a story from your wife who
Mhm.
grew up in Northridge in a regular house.
Don't want to hear the story.
Yeah.
So now this is where I draw the line. I feel like
Scary.
it's too scary. North
Too
is too
scary.
close. It's like an hour away.
Yeah.
Too
I'm
scary.
out.
Yeah. No, I won't repeat the story here.
All right,
That's
but
her story. To
I have
tell.
to share so being scared. I have to share a story through the lens of my 2-year-old son, and my brother-in-law, who doesn't have a kid at the time. He's married. He's like, I'm going to buy your son a amazing gift that he's going to love. So he buys my son, who's 2 years old. He has no sense of like what's the right age,
Right.
what toys are
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
He buys him a Game of Thrones dragon
Oh my.
that's remote controlled, throws out smoke. So like when my son gets it, he's super excited.
Yeah.
So every time we take it out and this thing blows like this like steam out of its nose, he is scared. No idea.
We have a similar thing with my kids at grandma's house. There's this really, what started off as a cute little clown that's saying happy birthday, right? But over time, this clown is probably as old as 40-year-old clown at least now, right? It's like
Are you sure you're not talking about yourself?
Yeah. They're like, oh, why do they have a picture up? No, so but this clown, right? It now just sounds creepy as hell. It's going, happy birthday, Sam, right? And the kids are just so like,
That's how you sound on this podcast, by the way, to all of our like 5 listeners out there. That's what you sound like.
we're up to 5.
We're up to 5.
Oh, awesome! Can't wait. Thanks, Usagwai. I guess I'm still scared of Jinn. Is kind of what this breaks down to.
Yeah.
At some level. Thanks for
Yeah.
bringing that out. Therapy session right here.
Goodness.
But yeah, I think like the real takeaway for me has been they're bigger things to be worried about in life, and I don't think those are fears, but they are like the concerns of a 40-some-year-old man. You know, I think really it comes down to fears related to the most important relationships in your life. Probably that's like the big thing versus career and some of these things. And I think there's a stress around work, but I don't think there's a fear around work the way that like maybe people have in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. So like for me, what I try to demonstrate, and like obviously there's been a lot of fearful moments in life, right? Like things you get scared of. I'm actually personally not a huge fan of roller coasters. Not that I'm fearful of them. It's just something that I don't like, right? And like I think maybe when I was younger, I enjoyed them, but now I don't. Like that thrill, that fast-pacedness, like not my thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I
I
try
think
to
that's lack of testosterone.
probably. I look, I
I
took
said
some
Jinn and you some ride in Disneyland.
I took some T pills. It didn't work out. Anyway, but what I'm trying to get to is like, I still do the things that I don't like to do or the things that I might be fearful of in order to show my kid that, hey, sometimes you just need to do it. And
Do you tell your kid that you're fearful of these
so
things?
no, right?
Okay.
And that was going to be my next question to you all is like, do you show or demonstrate your fear to your kids?
So growing up, my dad, he seemed fearless. He was an immigrant and all that.
Unflappable, yeah.
Yeah, he just didn't seem like he was scared of anything. And I like that. Obviously, there's like a something you respect in that. But I also think that it's helpful to see like how you navigate situations where you are uncomfortable. You don't have to come out and say like, I'm scared of doing this. But I think, for example, I share with my kids, hey, I have some big presentation today and I'm nervous about it, right? Or I have some speaking engagement and it's like, it's like scary to go up on stage. So I think those types of things are valuable I hope, for my kids to hear from me.
Your fear is what prevents you from like really succeeding or getting ahead and doing. Have you guys bungee jumped?
Yeah.
No,
That is like such a fear to get over. Like you have to mentally like
totally.
really tell yourself, I got to take the leap. Like and your body's saying, nope, don't do that. You're going to die.
Yeah.
Right. And
So I haven't done bungee jumping, but I went skydiving. So
yeah, like similar, like
close second.
Easy.
Right? Like
skydiving's easy.
skydiving is easy because you're strapped to somebody. Bungee jumping, you have to take the decision.
Yeah, you have to take.
You're the one pulling the trigger.
Yeah, no, totally. I did bungee jumping one day and I did skydiving literally the next day.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was a
And
new-
skydiving must have been easy.
easy. I remember thinking like bungee jumping, like, okay, I got to push myself off the sled, super scary, right? Skydiving, you're in a plane, you just see a bunch of clouds. A dude.
You don't know a tree. When you're bungee jumping, you see, I see that's a tree, that's
Yeah,
a rock,
a
that's
rock,
water.
yeah.
Like, oh, this...
Barely any water. It was like dry But the plane, like the dude is like some, big burly Kiwi. I was in New Zealand. That was awesome. I was like, come on, Chad, let's do this.
Yeah.
So what I want to get back to is like, how do you teach this concept of that fear is really good because it prevents you from dying, and on the other hand, there's certain fears you have to overcome to take risks that potentially might lead to outsized outcomes for you. So I think that's an interesting concept to explore, you know?
Yeah, I'm big on like teaching kids risk, right? Like how do you do that? Or risk taking. And I think you can do it through fear. I do think like we need to let our kids go outside and be comfortable with them playing outside alone and doing those things. I let my kid play with power tools when I'm doing stuff on the weekend. And I'm like, okay, have at it. Just don't like mess up your fingers or hands.
What do you guys think about COVID? I think COVID was a very fearful time. Like we had gloves on taking out our groceries.
Okay, so this is
That was crazy.
So this is a good segue. So like, has your perception of something that's fearful changed over time?
Oh,
So like
100%,
COVID in the
yeah.
moment was very fearful,
Yeah.
right? Like everyone was scared to go outside. You know, we had gloves. I remember I don't know if you guys we were wiping down groceries. We did it outside the house because we were worried it was going to come inside.
So, I mean, I think that there's a distinction here between fear and anxiety. And I don't think I had a fear during COVID as much as like there's a level of anxiety that a lot of people were operating at.
But aren't they one and the same?
I think they're different.
Because the anxiety is
different.
stemming from something, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, what are we going to get into secondary and tertiary emotions here?
well,
but
like, look,
I think
you're not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. I'm just saying.
The one fear
that's
that
true.
we could talk
Yeah, I'm
about.
happy you're saying.
Well, I mean,
the
fear in my mind at the end, like the ultimate fear is a fear of death. For me, like
I
it
think it's
feels very
gotten
real.
real more recently, right? Once you hit 40, I think you start thinking about it, and I think I fear it. Like, why do you guys fear it?
I fear it for not myself as much as the ones I love.
Intertwined with that is also fearful of like not living up to like my full ability or potential, or like just having that in the back of my head. Like I didn't get to do everything that I wanted to do.
FOMO.
Like kind of like a FOMO. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. Like, and not like things leisurely that I want to do, but things that I want to achieve, right? Like that is like the fear. And in some ways, yeah, that's related to death and things like that.
Well, I feel like that is a fear if I live out my years, right? Like I hit whatever 80, 90, 100, and I don't hit the goals, implicit or explicit, that I've laid out for myself, then I fear that happening. But this idea of like a life abruptly ending early, right? Statistically speaking, to me, I don't feel that, but I feel what you said around like what it means for my loved ones, right? So like if gone tomorrow, then that's like a complete disarray, right? And I think that's probably the biggest fear. That's probably the biggest fear in life, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like if I died tomorrow, I would have no regrets. I feel like
You bungee jumped and you skydived.
did it.
No,
I
you
did
did
everything.
it.
It's
Yeah.
great. More like my own fear is like I'm gonna end up in Gitmo, you know, like for some random reason, like I didn't pay my tax or like
That's what you're fearful
I
of?
don't know. Like I feel like I'll be at Gitmo and like I'll be talking to my cousin and be like, yeah, I didn't pay my taxes.
Wait,
You know, like, I was just like,
what?
Pardon
it's
me?
just gonna be
Pardon me?
such a difference.
So all of this gets cut.
God,
All of this gets
this
cut.
whole thing gets cut.
What?
What? And is your cousin in Gitmo also? Is it a family?
Very
Is it a
confused.
family retreat?
Just saying, like,
Gitmo? What is happening?
This is my fear. Like I'm like, can I end up there? You know?
So I will assume that just got cut, and now I will talk.
We're gonna keep that in.
Okay. So related to this, I have had a dream where, and this
You're
is
in Gitmo.
no, not exactly, but this recurring dream, and it started around 2016, and then it's come around a few times.
El Salvador is the new Gitmo, by the way.
Yeah, more or less that, right? So like the dream is, there are people with pitchforks essentially coming to the house, right?
Goodness.
And like, what do I do? So they're coming, and I'm like scrambling, like, oh shit, like what happened?
What
You
do
know,
I
and
do?
basically
Yeah.
it's like, white supremacists are coming toward, and there's a music video around this, right? From Riz Ahmed. In you know what, producer?
It's a whole film, right?
It's a whole film, but there's
Yeah.
a specific, like, I think, song. Anyways, he'll come to us, and even before I saw
The song
that,
is playing in your dream.
the song's not playing, but it's just like a manifestation. Like my
Yeah.
dream is like that.
Like that visual is present.
Yeah. So like that's a fear, I guess. Yeah.
I wonder what changed in 2016 to make you start having that dream.
Yeah. So like, what happened? Yeah, in 2016, like 9 years ago. What happened?
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. You tell me.
It was the Trump era.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Trump won.
Okay.
Well, you guys thought like I got like a
I thought it was like something personal.
no. This is 2016. Trump won.
Trump has been in your head since.
Trump's people. Yeah.
I'm still dealing with.
Can
this.
I add to this actually?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying because I feel like growing up and stuff happens and you see stuff on the news and things are going on in the government and whatever, right? And you just think, all right, yeah, they'll figure it out. Or one side will do something, the other side will come back, and we'll just keep moving along. And I don't know if it's getting older and being a little more aware of reality. The same thing what you were saying with roller coasters. I was never a huge fan, but I was okay as a kid. But now as an adult, if I go to the local fair, I get on the Ferris wheel, and I've been on a Ferris wheel in Pakistan. I've been on the like
The real
janky
Yeah.
like
The manual
dragon
powered one where the
swing
guy
with-
is like, yeah.
yeah, and we're like there's no straps and nothing, and you're still alive. But now if I go to one here, I'm thinking like, oh man, like it's getting windy up here. Like who knows what could happen to this thing, right? But something nowadays, I don't know, it's different where you go and you think everything we grew up reading and hearing about. Like I always thought that was way back then, and we're moving forward, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, all that stuff that we see in other countries, those people also probably thought this can't happen or this won't be happening. And at what point do you go, wait a minute, like?
So, okay, fearful time for Muslims, for immigrants, for people essentially any other color than white.
Well, I would actually push back on that. I think even white people feel really, really scared.
Perhaps.
I think they're acting out because they're.
But is it actual fear or is that anxiety, right? Like, and I guess the
Well,
difference.
now there's a difference.
So
When
what
I
I'm
said
trying
it,
to-
there was no difference.
what I'm trying to get at
Yeah.
is that I think people of color, communities of color, like the stakes are too high.
No, but
White
then-
community.
I
But,
think-
like,
I think I agree
We've
with
been
him.
subject to it for so long, right? Like,
We know people who've been unjustly detained at the airports and by authorities, and
yeah,
Maybe
I'm justly detained at the airport.
FBI shows up,
Yeah, okay, fine.
That's why I have real fear.
There's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff that keeps me awake at night, a lot of stuff that I want to fight for. How do you ensure that that stuff doesn't get transposed or transferred to your kid? How do you deal with that reality, but at the same time be that superhero that you were talking about?
I think that's super hard. As a, brown person, a Muslim American, you name it, they have to deal with this. So I think for me, it's important that we talk to them, obviously not at a very deep level, but we talk to them about, what types of things are happening around the world and like what that means for our communities here. And, people are getting arrested or things are, some things are fair and some things are not fair. And, this is not everybody, but this is some people. And I think like it's going to be like, they need to navigate this. And at the same time, your teachers or like, this friend at school or whatever, like they're wonderful. And, like the community that we're in, like is how it should really be. And, we need to like keep like embracing this and fostering this community. We feel really fortunate that they go to the elementary school that they do. Right. It's like a constant balancing act.
You guys ever heard of Gabor Mate?
Yeah, why do
he's
I know
a,
that
He's
name?
a psychologist
Yeah.
who specializes in like child psychology, and especially he talks a lot about trauma children have and how trauma gets passed generation to generation. You can see this happening when in history of like over time, like the parents somehow like pass on that
Yeah.
trauma multiple generations.
I will not pass on the chappal trauma
Yes.
to my kids.
You
That
think about
that
it. You're
ends
gonna
with me.
pass on some
That
other
ends with
version
me.
of it, right? Well, that's the thing. Until
Well, like
unless
being colonized, for example,
Yeah.
is passed on to us, even though we haven't lived through it.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll pass it on.
his parents were like Holocaust survivors. It's just some really deep and interesting stuff, and I think that's interesting for us because obviously, like, we grew up in like the 9/11 post 9/11 era, and like some weird trauma. And I'm like, hey, how do I make sure that doesn't get passed on, in a way that becomes a burden or a baggage or like colors their perspective
Well, I almost
wrong
feel
way.
like it's like let's embrace that versus like trying to brush it under the rug, because I think our parents, or at least my parents, were very much like, kuch nahi hota, like, just like, oh,
Yeah.
just ignore that.
Bachcho ki baat nahi hai.
Yeah, bachcho ki baat nahi hai, or like whatever, just like trying to like kind of dismiss these things.
Right.
And like, now we're in a new world, or we're in a new environment, like, we're okay.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I mean. I think like give them the tools to like deal with it so that
Totally.
they don't deal with it as poorly as we probably did,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Versus, yeah, which is probably what our version of passing down the trauma would be like. Just don't
Yeah.
deal with it and like don't address it, and then all right, that just keeps going unaddressed
Right,
over and
yeah.
over again.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing is like be vulnerable enough to share your fears with your kids, maybe in some respect, not the full thing. Give them tools so that they can deal with it and internalize it as, from their perspective. And then this way they're not dealing with generational fear or generational trauma.
Yeah.
Right.
What's interesting as we're talking about this, on the other hand, like my mom was very upfront about things she was scared of, right? I felt very comfortable like going and talking to her about my fears, right? And that might just be a son and mother relationship versus a son and father, or in general, fathers and mothers in traditional Pakistani households. But certainly I think there was a big part of it. Like her ability to show vulnerability made her much more accessible to me too, as a child, and forever, actually, like through my life. So hopefully, the way I see it, I hope to be able to be that for my kids versus not.
Anything you're working on these days to overcome existing fears or generational fears, traumas that, have been passed down?
I think more than anything is just like being healthy when it comes to mental well-being, and how to cope, how to deal with stress, deal with things that are gonna create anxiety, or manage these kind of family related or relationship related fears that we have.
Or just simply asking for help, right? So, I know like my dad growing up, I always view him and still view him as like, the Superman, nothing can touch him. But I think in some ways that also isn't fair to that person, because then they're not able to like deal with that fear or trauma at all, ever. And I think, for me, as I look at myself, one thing that I've been trying to be more intentional about is talking more about my emotions. Maybe it's not directly about like, getting therapy on how to fix the thing, but at least just being open to talk about it. Like, hey, this is how this thing makes me feel. So I've been trying to do that a lot more lately.
I do find myself sharing things that I probably would not have even 5 or 10 years ago, like things I've shared with you guys, right? Like things I'm dealing with,
Exactly.
or like going through.
Yeah.
That
I guess I've reached a stage where I don't care what other people think. I'm more concerned with how do I fix the thing that's bothering me. And that's a different, I think a lot of men don't know how to make that distinction. I think men get caught up in ego and like trying to appear bigger in different social settings, at home, etc. And I get it, that's survival in some ways. But I also think in order for you to grow, you need to be vulnerable and share those feelings.
One thing, I think you touched on, which is happening for me, is I feel like growing up, my parents' generation, at least they're from Pakistan, so they had this like sense of community, like massive community around them. And I think I stopped valuing that as I was growing up here. And now I've started to reevaluate that, and started to value community and have a bunch of people around me and a bunch of circles of folks. And I really appreciate like having small groups of folks that I can be very vulnerable with and like share. And I'm finding that we're not alone. Like there's most of us are going through a lot of challenges and emotions in different ways and fears. So that's been really interesting to explore with.
It's funny how this happens. Like, sorry,
No, please cut me off and go ahead.
perfect. So let me jump in. I think like since you're a kid till you're like in college, you're actually really talking to a lot of people about personal stuff in this like really casual, fluid way, right? Like in college, like you share shit that like, like looking back on it, it was deeply personal, and you're just like kind of living through it with people and sharing with people. And then you kind of hit this like, I don't know, wall somewhere in your mid-20s. You kind of really
Close off, essentially.
close off, and you want to kind of control your own narrative more. Maybe it's related to career stuff. Maybe it's because I don't know, maybe there's something biological there. It's some sort of general defense mechanism. I don't know. But most people, I think, get stuck in that.
I'm not sure if it's that, or like I think you also find love in your life and you have this partner that you really cherish that relationship. You go very, very deep with that person for that time being. So they kind of like become that rock place.
That was a great CYA. Nice work. Thank you.
That in there,
I
right?
completely 100% agree.
Good.
You better.
I 100% agree.
100%.
But I think a lot of people turning into their 40s are just getting increasingly like defense mechanism and isolated and stuff. So I agree. I think just talking helps. So I appreciate you too.
Yeah, wow. Thank you. I appreciate you too.
I do have a question though. Like I think there's one other fear that we didn't talk about.
Oh, please.
Fear of failure.
So it keeps me up at night every single day. My biggest fear for a very long time is that I just wouldn't live up to my name, to my family's reputation, to like, and it's something
funny. I never heard your name before. Like,
yeah, you hadn't
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't realize they have a whole
What a
like,
jerk. What a jerk.
a whole enterprise.
No, it's been something that I carry. It's a little bit.
Where
it's
does
a
the pressure
fear.
come from? Do you think it comes from yourself, from family, parents, something else?
I think it's a mix of a bunch of things, but like
It's so funny because you're an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs like live with failure. Failure is like
no.
the job.
So I'm not scared to fail. There's like fear of like immediate failure of like doing something, right? That I have no fear of, right? Like I've tried so many different things.
Yeah.
I failed at a whole
We've
bunch
heard
of
your
things.
jokes for one.
You've heard my jokes. You've seen my friends. Goodness, bad choices there. But then there's just like this fear of not living up to what I had envisioned of myself. And that is the fear. That fear of failure is the driving factor. And like, yeah.
Have you negotiated with yourself over the years on what that means?
It's a
Like
good question.
what success means and
yeah,
I guess what failure means.
what failure means. It's a good question. I haven't, but I think I've started to, like in the last year. Like, hey, what does this mean? Why are we so caught up and like uptight about this thing? And is there wiggle room?
My success metrics have changed significantly over the last like 5 to 10 years, especially the last 5 years. Like in terms of what was, completely driven by money and career stuff versus, what's now driven more by family stuff.
Wow, that was a lot. I didn't realize this was a therapy session, but okay. That was good.
See, that I told you I don't need therapists because
you don't need therapists.
I have a-holes like you in my life.
It's interesting. I don't want to take away from the science of therapy, but I do feel like if you're in the right group or circle of friends and family, I think you can probably stave off a lot of like the therapy and stuff.
But some people really genuinely need it, benefit from it.
100%. 100%.
So nothing taken away from there, but
not taking away from it.
I'd encourage people to explore it if they haven't.
For sure.
Like I've gone to therapy.
Yep.
And I'm still like this, but yeah, I've gone to therapy.
Hasn't worked.
All right. On a lighter moment. What are some dumb things that you've been scared of or fearful of as a parent?
Oh, as a parent. Dang, I was gonna say as a kid. Okay.
I think I'm scared of my kids. Like they go to school, get sick, and then like everybody in the house is
gets
sick.
I don't remember getting sick and then infecting my entire household when I was younger, but I don't know. Maybe that's selective memory.
Probably our parents have better immunity too. Like, they're stronger than we are.
Any irrational superstitions that stem from like fear or otherwise?
I have a fear I have to share with you guys. Every now and then, like some like discovery happens that like changes the trajectory of human history. for example, us figuring out the world is flat or whatever. I think that's a big like physics moment.
Well,
that
are you
happens.
saying that we think the world is flat? You think the world is flat?
or not flat anymore? You know, like up
Wait,
until
is the
400
Earth round?
Oh,
laid out like a carpet?
this is...
All right, that's a bad reference. I shouldn't do that. I'm gonna get banned by movies.
Okay, where are you going with
Okay,
this?
so what I'm going with this is
freaking flat earthers.
I know. I can't. They're everywhere.
Casually dropped how the
one of
flat
my
earthers.
biggest fears.
Look, I'm just gonna say this: the Earth is round. Science is real. So please.
Two out of three of us definitely believe in that.
One of my biggest fears is that we're gonna figure out how to live forever, just technologically, after I die. Like I would have missed it by like the slightest of margin,
Yeah,
and I feel like
and you want to live forever.
I wouldn't have the choice. I don't know if I would pull the trigger on it or not, but I think it'd be interesting to.
Well, my fear is that you now want to live forever.
Yeah,
so that is my
I'm with
fear.
you.
That is my
I'm with
fear.
you. Yeah,
And that
Jahannam ki nishani hai.
that is my fear. That's where we'll close it off. You can find us on NaanSense Show on Instagram. Make sure to smash that like button. I think that's what's said these days, but smash that like button, follow, subscribe. I want to give a big shout out to my co-hosts, Sajid and Imad. Thanks for a lovely conversation. And our person behind the scenes who gets, you don't get to see, but is very much part of this podcast, Salman. Thank you very much for doing everything that you do.
Thank you, Salman.
Until
Happy
next
birthday.
time, non-censors, we'll bring a next episode. See ya.
See ya.
Thank you.
I like nonsense.
Nicely done.